Hey fellow explorers, so today's live stream is going to be a little different than most where I often offer travel tips. Today this is a bit more of a video essay about the state of YouTube because something that's been filling my YouTube feed recently are videos from popular YouTubers that have announced they're quitting. And so in this video, I want to talk about why are so many big popular YouTubers quitting in 2024. I'm also going to share why I'm not quitting, which could just give you a little insight into these big YouTubers and into me. And also, if there's any aspiring creators out there, some advice on how they can create a sustainable channel without ending up in the place that many of these people have. So first of all, who are these YouTubers that are quitting? Well, probably the most famous of them is MatPat. Of the channel Game Theorist, Food Theorist, Style Theorist. He has a lot of different channels, but on his main Game Theorist channel, 18.8 million subscribers, and he just announced 13 days ago, goodbye internet from his YouTube channel. We'll talk a little bit more in detail about what these goodbye and quit videos look like, but his goodbye internet was like #1 on trending, on the YouTube trending page for its first couple days out. Tom Scott also announced goodbye with 6.4 million subscribers. His goodbye was he started the channel 10 years ago, and his plan was no more than 10 years on his channel. And so this was 10 years to the day from his first video upload. Maddie Hapoya, which you may or may not know, he does a bunch of like kind of camera gear videos. Also a good friend with Peter McKinnon, which more people know. He has a video here about why he's quitting YouTube this year. Even this guy, Tech Lead. Who is Tech Lead? He used to work at Google. He used to work at Facebook. He does a channel about the tech industry. Even he, 9 hours ago, is quitting YouTube. And then a lot of videos like this from channels like DSLR Video Shooter, where he says it's time for a change. He just can't keep doing it the same way he is. And so for some reason, I must have this odd fascination with these I'm quitting videos, or YouTube knows that I watch them all. And the videos kind of all have this similar theme to them. They go like this. The person who's quitting first starts by saying they're very thankful for YouTube and what YouTube has brought them. They're thankful for all of their viewers over the years. They're thankful for the dream job that it is. And they realize it's a dream job. And then they want to say they don't want to seem like a whiner or a complainer, but. And then they go on to talk about their particular circumstances for quitting. And I've narrowed these down into 13 different reasons why YouTubers quit. And so I'm going to walk you through these 13 reasons, talk about their reasons. Again, these are some of the most high profile ones, but these are reasons over the years. Again, I listened to these why I quit videos, not just this year, but over the seasons. And these are the major areas. And so the first one that these YouTubers say why they're quitting is that they are burnt out. That's the phrase, burnt out. They just can't do it anymore. They can't sustain it at the level they were working in. And I think this typically happens for the people that I see go all in on YouTube. And what does it mean to be all in? All in generally means that like takes over your life. You eat, sleep, and breathe YouTube because, you know, we've all heard the advice to be popular on YouTube, you need to upload regularly. What does that mean? Well, that weekly, maybe you start. Monthly, maybe you start. Then you go to weekly, then you go to daily. But that's not enough because now YouTube has shorts. So you got to make shorts too. And you've also got to post on Instagram, not just photos, but videos now. You've got to be on Facebook. You got to post on TikTok, and not just like once a day, but like 3 times a day to do well on TikTok. What about Twitter or X, or what do they call it? Once you're done with all the videos, you got to make titles, you got to make thumbnails, you got to make descriptions. And I think that a lot of these things also about like how many things you have to do really, you know, there's this phrase that you often hear people talk about, like our hustle culture today. Like to make it, you have to hustle. You got to have a first job and a second job and a third job. And it's not enough to just work 40 hours a week. You've got to work until you're so tired that you just fall asleep at your keyboard or in front of your camera because you got to hustle. Because if you don't hustle, somebody else is going to pass you up. But one of the challenges on YouTube is that more effort doesn't necessarily equal more results. Not the same way it does if you're working a traditional job that pays you by the hour, or commission sales that pays you by the sale. You can easily pour a ton of time into a video as a YouTuber and you think it's gonna do amazing, and yet nobody watches it. I mean, some of my most popular videos are the ones that I spent very little effort on. And on my video of the 5 worst cheap hotels on the Las Vegas Strip, so many people asked me on that video why I didn't do this or do that or do this. And I'm like, if I knew it was gonna have 5 million views, I might have done those things, but I really had no idea. What often also happens to people about how they get to this burnt out stage is perhaps they have a schedule that they can deal with, that they can live with, and then they get on what's known as the wave, the YouTube wave. They ride the wave. Chris, what wave are you talking about? The algorithm wave. And generally the way the algorithm wave works, and you can often, if you look at people's channels on YouTube and you like sort by most popular videos, you can often see a set of videos that are like, okay, YouTube loved these videos, the audience loved these videos, and then they made a bunch more. And so in my case, that could be like the worst cheap hotels in Vegas. Tons of people are watching this video, and so I should follow it up with some other video about hotels in Vegas, maybe the best hotels in Vegas. Tons of people watch that video too. Then the best cheap eats in Vegas. Tons of people watch that video too. And quickly I could go in and say, well, boy, every day I need to put out another video because these keep getting tons and tons of views. But if you do that, eventually you just burn the candle at both ends and there's nothing left, because it does become this like addicting thing where you're like, views and more views, and I've got to keep going. And related to like mini waves, I saw one of these myself actually during the pandemic time, where like the casinos were shutting down in Vegas, and like I was doing some daily live streams about the situation in Vegas, and I don't know, what do I have right now? 239 viewers on this live stream. But back then it was like 1,000 viewers on the live stream. And it's like one of those where like I'd go and I go another day and another day, and there's more and there's more and there's more. But now this goes to the like, well, I mean, I have to step back from the brink because I can't do live streams every day for hours every night. It's just unsustainable. Anyway, we're still not talking about me. We're talking about everybody else and why they get burnt out. I think the other reason people get burnt out is, as a YouTuber, you don't get time off, you don't get paid vacation time, you don't get sick leave, especially when you're a solo creator. If you don't work, the channel doesn't work. And if you don't make a video, then there's not a new video to get more views, to get ad revenue, to get a sponsorship. And so many people feel like they can't take any time off, otherwise their channel will die. This is like another I'm going to say algorithm myth, where people feel like if they're not on the platform for some extended amount of time, all of a sudden nobody will watch them when they come back. And I feel like spending all this extra time on YouTube and this hustle culture usually is at the expense of what? Personal health. They don't exercise anymore. They don't eat right. It's at the expense of relationships, friends and family, you know, whether people have a significant other. Many YouTubers talk about how, well, I got successful, you know, but I lost my girlfriend in the process, or I got divorced in the process. And that's rough. And now going back to this burnout, these people have made their life they've made YouTube all consuming of their lives. And yes, at some point they just go and say, I can't do this anymore because this isn't sustainable. I'm not healthy. I don't have any friends. So now this goes to part 2 of this, and each one of these 13 will be in these 2 parts about, so why am I not burnt out after 15 years on YouTube? I started in 2008, and after 1,600 videos, not a small number. And I think for me, I find this notion of balance important, you know, and sometimes people joke, like when you talk about like work-life balance, and people joke and say, yeah, there is no balance, it's all work, you know? And of course, those are the people that end up in this platform of super burnt out. But for me, I think things like what are important to me. Sleep is important. I like to sleep 8 hours a night, and that's totally something I prioritize. I do my math about like, what time do I need to get up and what time do I need to go to sleep? That's not just 8 hours before that, but it's like 8.5 hours before that, because I need some time to actually like fall asleep. I think exercise is really important, not just on a treadmill, but like walks on the beach and going for a bike ride. And I'll tell you, you know, my background is in computer science or software development. And so going to school, I have a bachelor's, master's degree in computer science, and I spent a lot of time just in front of the computer, not editing in this case, but writing code, writing software. Late nights, long days, and I would get to places where I'd be pretty much in front of my computer for days on end. And I got to a point where I realized that just it wasn't healthy. And I wasn't healthy, and I wasn't fulfilled, and I didn't feel great. And so that's where I'm like, at some point, I'm like, okay, every day I need to go out and do some exercise. Every day, a bare minimum of a 30-minute walk. People often watch my videos and say, Chris, how do you eat so much? And I'm like, well, the day in Vegas when it was New Year's Eve, I walked 20 miles. And so that's how. But obviously a lot of that's on camera, but a lot of these things aren't. I don't necessarily sit there and be like, how do I make sure everything's on camera? Because sometimes people ask me, if I'm just filming all the time, Chris, how do you make all this content? Are you filming all the time? And the answer is not really. Not really. Maybe while we're on a trip, we're filming a lot. And so yes, when I spend a week in Singapore or a week in Vegas, I'm filming a lot those weeks. But I have this real notion of batch production. So when I'm in Vegas, I can make 20 videos on Vegas, which is 20 weeks of content, although in this case it might be 8 weeks or something like that. But that 1 week of travel, then editing and thumbnails and descriptions and all the stuff that's at home or asynchronous, I'll do to then make videos for the channel. Same with Singapore, which then leads me with a bunch of time that I can prioritize for sleep, for exercise, for eating healthy-ish food. If you watch what I eat, I'm definitely not the healthiest eater, but I definitely like to consider the food that I eat to be fresh with ingredients that I can recognize. I'm not eating a lot of meals from McDonald's or Jack in the Box or those sorts of places. It's important to spend time with family. I recognize that to my wife and to my daughter, my wife only has one husband, I hope. As far as I know, she only has one husband. And my daughter only has one father. And if I'm not there to be her father, nobody else is. And so those things are important. And then content creation comes after that stuff. Now, as far as schedule of things go, my goal in the beginning, in 2008, was one video a month. That'd be cool, one video a month. And eventually that became one video a week. And then when YouTube introduced live streams, that became 2 videos a week, where there was at least one edited video and one recorded video. And then my theory is, if more pops out of the process that I have, then cool. And if not, then no big deal. I keep it in the queue and I upload it later. And so that's why sometimes people are like, Chris, when did you record this? And it was 6 or 8 months ago, but still a good video. And I edited these. I don't have a hard schedule, but that's when I could get this one out. But having a bunch of things that are edited, ready to go, gives me personal peace of mind that if something happens in my life or whatever, that now I can't shoot this week or edit this week, I've still got videos back here that I can just go oh, this video's public now. And it's still a good video, and so I definitely do save them for those events when just the process of life doesn't allow me to get to things all the time. And the thing that also helps there is now I'm not chasing a video every single week, up late at night editing it. This is the story I hear from many YouTubers is they're well, I made it every Wednesday at 8 a.m. I gotta have a video. And so I was working on it late on Tuesday, and then Premiere crashes, and then I lose the whole thing, and then I have to re-edit it, and it's not till 6 a.m. until I got that, and then I upload it, and then I can finally go to sleep. And it's or you could just wait till Thursday. People would probably watch it on Thursday too, and you sleeping allows you to be healthier, make more videos, be happier about it. And then I've also over the years created different formats with different varying levels of effort to create them. I think many of the people that burn out, they burn out because they're everything they do is so hard to make. All this huge level of effort that they've ended up with. And it's one of the reasons why I actually started doing these live streams. And while there's a bunch of work to write this outline that I kind of go off of and research that I do and those pictures that I put up here, once I'm done, once I'm done here with this hour, there's no editing. The live stream is done. I don't have to go anyplace. It's like here in my house to do it. So the level of effort is less than that of, say, a Singapore travel guide, which is maybe 40 hours of work for me. But a video like this is maybe 3 to 4 hours of prep and then 1 hour of the live stream. So 5 hours versus 30 or 40, significantly less to make a video like this. Same with my walking tours. That's another reason why I started the walking tour series. I saw on YouTube a lot of people were doing walking tours and they didn't say anything. They just would hold the camera, walk around, and they'd get a lot of views. And I'm like, boy, well, if I can just maybe say some intelligent things as I walk around, maybe people will like that. And some of those videos, like my Omega Mart walking tour, have gone on to have like 1 million views. And they're low effort things that I still think create some new content in the YouTube world. And related to the set schedule, I appreciate every single one of you that joins into these live streams. But if you're a regular here, you'll know my live streams kind of bounce around a little bit. Are they Mondays? Are they Tuesdays? Are they 7:30 Los Angeles time? Are they 4:30 Los Angeles time? I generally try to keep it in those days and those time windows, but I do move it around just based on when I can do it. Sometimes people be like, Chris, why is it at this time? And it's like, well, it was either this time or no time this week, without sacrificing those other things that we talked about. All right, I'm going to go on the number 2 here. Number 1 was really long. It was the longest one because that's what people say the most. I'm going to go on the number 2, but before I do that, let's hit some comments. Kathy on the live stream says, I don't like walking tours when people don't talk. Very boring. I agree. I don't watch those videos. I like the commentary, and I guess I make videos that I like, that I think I'll like, and I'm glad that many of you like them too, which I'll talk about here as we get to things like creative. Janelle says, today was a nice surprise. Didn't know the live was today. Janelle, I'm glad you made it in, even though you didn't know it was today. Matt says, I really appreciate your videos. Nobody's helped me better understand Vegas than you. Thank you kindly, Matt. I appreciate it. David says, those faceless walking videos are huge. Seen them too. I would like to hear people say something too. Right. And so Justin says, do you still work full-time, Chris? I, in addition to being a YouTuber, am a full-time software engineer, and so we'll talk more about that too as perhaps a path to potential happiness or less despair. And top left guy says, what are your biggest suggestions for new creators in 2024? I think in each one of these, I'll give some suggestions about how not to end up in these areas. So those will be my big suggestions. All right, let's go on to number 2. The second reason that many YouTubers quit is they say they're bored. They cite they are bored. And I bucket their bored reasons into 3 areas. So what are the 3 main areas that people get bored with creating videos on YouTube? Number 1 is they weren't that passionate about the topic they got into to begin with, but they got into it for the views or for the money. They heard that financial videos make a lot of money and get a lot of views, but they never really liked it anyway, and so they get bored about it because they never really liked talking about it or liked researching it or liked doing it, and so they're just like, I want to do something I actually like, and it turns out it's not this. The second reason that YouTubers get bored is they picked a video niche. Niche is the word that people use. Like they picked an area for their channel that just doesn't have much content. Oh, I need a drink. You know, I have endless content on this channel because I talk about what I'm drinking all the time, and there's an infinite number of drinks. What is Chris drinking today? Chris is drinking a UCC milk tea made with Assam tea, mild taste and sweet flavor, product of Japan. All right. So the second reason they get bored is they picked a video niche that doesn't have much content. For example, there was a channel with a guy who played music with a rubber chicken. Like, how much music can you make with a rubber chicken? Only so many videos that you can do with that until you get bored and the audience gets bored. And then third is they find the actual process of making a video tedious. And yes, there are a lot of things and cameras and editing and all of that stuff that can suck the fun or passion out of it. So now this is the why am I not bored? And if you're an aspiring content creator, how do you maybe not end up bored with it? The first one for me is I love to travel and explore. And this channel is all about travel and exploring. And there's an endless set of places in this world that I haven't been to. Like no one person can explore all of them. And so I think I have an endless set of places to go. Now, OC Girl and I, as we were talking about this script, we're like, well, what about at the point of my life that I can't go anymore? You know, something happens or whatever, and I can't travel. Like, what is that? What does this channel look like? probably looks like more like these things, like travel advice, travel topics, credit cards, packing tips, this and that. Like, to me, there's an endless amount of content that I'm interested in about travel. So travel is a huge niche with endless topics. I'm also a tech nerd, so I like computers, cameras, lights, and trying out new stuff. And so whenever I talk about live streaming to other YouTubers, I probably have a much more boutique live stream setup. Like, a lot of people use like StreamYard or things like that really tend to like simplify it. And I use this software called vMix that's like made by this Australian firm that's like super customizable and lets me do all these things that like whatever the heck I want to with it. But in the end, while this software and all this stuff is like complex, I've definitely tried to like boil it down to be very simple in like my workflow. And so I spent a lot of time on like, you may have seen my my button box here. It's upside down because the cable's short, but these are all the buttons for all the shortcuts and things like that I've got here. Like if I want to mute the microphone, what I said was I pushed that and you can't hear me because it muted the microphone. That's my cough button. There's all these different things on here that I've put together to then make it easy to run this. And I really think that like complexity is the enemy of the good when it comes to being a content creator. The more equipment you have, the more stuff you have, the more things that can break, the more batteries that you have to charge, the more cables you have to connect. And so for me, like when I go live, my goal is that my studio setup 5 minutes from the time I sit down to being able to push the button that says go live. That's my goal. If it takes you any more than that, you'll be spending more time just setting up your stuff than you are actually making the video. The Wu-Tang Life says, for me, the boring part is editing. Most YouTubers on average take 30 minutes of editing for every 1 minute of video. I would need to make enough money to hire an editor. Yeah, and editing can take a while, right? And so at this point, I do have an editor as part of the team, Yusaku. Many of you have heard and seen his great work if you've been watching this channel for a while. Obviously, I wasn't able to do that in the beginning, but you know, this is one where like, though some people are like, I absolutely will not outsource editing because there's many people who say editing, like that's where they actually craft the story. So it really depends on different creators, right? So now Tony is gonna say, hey Chris, I was just wondering whatever happened to the Office Survival Guide channel. The Curious Princess, our daughter, happened to the Office Survival Guide channel. I don't mean that in a negative way, but that was one where like when I created that channel, it was before child, and now after child, that was one that I just don't have the time for it anymore. It's not that I don't have the passion for it anymore. I may revive that channel in the future. On the Office Survival Guide, I give tips to succeed in the workplace if you work in an office. There's still some good videos over there, like, hey, is it true that no question at work is a stupid question? For example, or like how to do really well on an interview. I've heard people say, Chris, I watched your video about how to prepare for an interview and it got me a job. So if you're interviewing for something, go check that out. I wouldn't consider it dead. I just consider it like on pause for now. Okay. Let's talk about 3. The third reason that a lot of these YouTubers quit is they don't like chasing the algorithm. This is a phrase I've heard in many of these videos. I'm tired of chasing the algorithm. What does that mean? Well, YouTube as a platform is always changing. And there's like thousands of algorithms and processes and machine learning on the back end, but to make it simple, people aggregate it into the algorithm as if it's only one. But also it's not just the processes that change behind YouTube about how YouTube decides what videos to serve up to people, but also viewer behavior. People change. Like, you can think about yourself and the videos that you watched online 15 years ago and the videos you watch now, they're different. Like, you pick different videos to watch. You watch them in different ways. Maybe 15 years ago you watched them on your computer. Now maybe you watch them on your phone. Maybe you watch them in front of your television. And so as a creator, you're constantly needing to evolve what you're making for the change in the platform and the change in viewer behavior, what people actually like. And just a quick example of this is like when YouTube first started, you know, it was a lot of like cat videos and memes that were maybe less than 3 minutes long. And then at some point, longer videos became more popular. Like people started making 8-minute videos and 10-minute videos. Or what about this video that's gonna be about an hour? Or what about like 4-hour videos? And then as soon as you figured out how to make a 4-hour video, then you need to make 10-second videos on shorts. And so it is something where like, then you go, how long should my title be? Or should it be short? Should it be long? What words should I put in it? How many keywords? And so in addition to all of the stuff that burnt creators out, now they got to get burned out about this because they've got to pay attention to all of these things on the platform to constantly change and adapt and pivot. And why doesn't this bother me? It doesn't bother me because I realize about the only thing that's constant in this world is change. The only thing that's constant in this world is change. And so, like, to be a professional in this world, you have to evolve. But like, many of the jobs that exist today didn't exist 10 years ago. And so I'm always open to try new things on this channel, try new videos. How about a 90-minute vlog for our Japan driving trip? How about a 60-minute vlog for people who watch them on TV, people who want to sit down, kick back, and relax? How about these long live streams for people who listen to them while they're driving or listen to them while they're working out? Or I'll tell you, I do a lot traveling. I do a lot of driving, and I often don't listen to the radio. I often like put on a YouTube video and listen to that for an hour while I'm driving. And I also try not to I don't really chase these things too much. I mean, I still really haven't like dove all in to shorts. And I just think that's okay. You know, like I do the things that I like, even if it means like people are passing me because they're doing all these shorts and getting gazillions of views, but I like the things that I do. And I found that I think if I tried to chase the shorts, that just wouldn't be me. Chris is not like a 10-second kind of guy. Chris is more like a 20-minute kind of guy. Trip 540, I want to thank you very much for your support. And I also want to thank Phantom of Many Topics for your support. Phantom of Many Topics says, Chris, have you been to the Manila, Philippines? Not yet. Philippines is on my list. Cottage Full of Love says, this list seems similar to why bloggers quit too. It is tough. And then Rig Rental says, sounds like me working on my editing. And Brandon says, tell Yusaku I enjoy his editing. I will tell him that. He very well may watch this video to see that himself. Justin says, I was impressed how quickly you released your New Year's Eve walk. Yes, a quick story about the New Year's Eve walk. So, part of why I went to Vegas over New Year's Eve was I wanted to do that walk. So for those of you, many of you have seen it, but for those of you who haven't, every year on New Year's Eve, you know, Vegas has a big New Year's Eve party. 400,000 people come to the Las Vegas Strip, and they close off the Strip to traffic 8 p.m. till late in the night, early in the morning, however you'd call it. And so at 8 p.m. when they close off the Strip, I started my walk. I'm going to walk from the Mandalay Bay all the way to the Strip to walk the whole Strip. And I'm also like, well, this video needs to come out very soon so that people who are looking for like New Year's Eve content find it. And so a part of my like planning was like, okay, I need to stay in a hotel that has good internet. I need to be in a place that's conveniently located so I can do this walk. I can get back to my hotel. I can upload the video so that shortly thereafter, you know, when the bell rings or the Big Apple drops or things like that, the video is online. So that's what I did. I did the walk. I came back to the hotel. I quickly edited it. I started the upload to YouTube. I went and watched the fireworks. I came back to my room, waited until, 1 in the morning or something until the video was done, and then hit publish. So, all right. The fourth reason why many YouTubers quit the platform is they're not just bored, but they don't feel creative anymore. And I don't put like air quotes on creative to be like, these creative people, but that's the phrase they use. They say, I don't feel creative anymore. And I feel like this comes from often like, certainly like the film school type graduates who got into making motion video content to like make really artistic things, or the mad scientists and engineers out there who like to build stuff or like create, super crazy Burning Man type things. And people in this category, they find all of the channel management stuff, like writing a description, writing keywords, creating the thumbnail, responding to comments, takes away from their creative time because now they're doing all these other things about the video rather than just being creative. Or they don't feel creative anymore because they're chasing what people want to watch instead of what they want to make. And I have often said that if I were to make only what I thought YouTube would get the most views on, Yellow Productions would be a Las Vegas channel. That's what it was. Every video I'd make would be about Las Vegas in some form or fashion, because I know every time I make a video on Vegas, it's gonna get a ton of views. And every time I make a hotel review, it's not gonna get that many views. But I make what I wanna make. And, you know, and that means, Chris, but you make these Vegas videos and you go to Vegas to make these videos, and I do. But I also wanna go to Vegas. Like, I like to go to Vegas every year and see all of the new things, or a couple times a year, but at least once a year to see all the new things, and then I can go ahead and make that stuff when I'm there. This is especially the case when people get into brand deals and sponsorships. Because how creative can you really be when you need to make a video that the sole purpose of it is to advertise some VPN software that you don't really care about and you don't even think your viewers care about, but you need to make a few bucks on it, and so you gotta crank out this video. I mean, I think this is where, like, you can tell when people like what they're doing and when they don't like what they're doing, and they're like, well, guys, back again, here's another video. Why did I make this video? Because the rent's got to be paid. And so in that case, I got some VPN software for you. Here's the code down here. You get 90% off this thing that's never full price. And okay, look, not all brand deals are bad, but I think that there are many creators that do fall into the trap of these things where they do anything for $1. And those, like, brand deals, oh, they take so much time. They take so much time on the back and the forth and the emails and the Zoom meetings, and like, is what I think many people feel. So now this goes into, how do I still feel creative? And I tease this through this description, but it's not only making what will get the most views, but making stuff I want to make, even if it doesn't get an amazing amount of views, even if this video doesn't get an amazing amount of views. I wanted to make this video and I wanted to talk about this topic. And I'm glad that many of you, like, also wanted to join me for it. But, you know, if it wasn't that many views, I'd still be okay with it, because it was a conversation that I wanted to have with y'all. I'm also not making content that, like, I hate making. And so this is one where I'm not burying myself alive for 48 hours. You know, on my video on the worst hotels on the Las Vegas Strip, people ask me, Chris, why didn't you stay in those hotels when you made the video? I've stayed in many of them before. I had no desire to stay in them again. So, you know, I have seen Ryan Trahan's video where he stays in some one-star hotels and he brings a sleeping bag with him because he's like, the bed's really sketchy and I worry about the mites or things like that. And I'm like, no, it's not for me. And I don't think Ryan's gonna burn out. He seems like a pretty joyful, happy guy. People are willing to do those things. I'm not willing to do those things. Related to the brand deals, I also limit the amount of companies that I'm just willing to talk to at all. There are so many emails of people like, Chris, I got this. Can I talk to you about this? What about this? And it's all, I shouldn't say all, a lot of it. 90% of it is wasted time and energy to talk to these people to find out that they want me to advertise some health drink that doesn't even taste good. And so the companies that I'm even willing to talk to are the ones where I'm like, I like that product. That seems like a cool thing. That seems interesting. That seems like that legitimately solves a problem. And then being firm about my creative process, meaning that I don't say what you want me to say. I say what I want to say. And if you don't like that, then go find someone else. That's fine. Phantom of Many Topics, thank you for your support again. How do you get the first 1,000 subscribers or viewers? I feel like a sapling in a forest of redwood. I am going to hit that topic when I get to the one that says nobody's watching, so that's going to come at number 7. I will get back to that in just a moment. Okay, let's go on to number 5. Number 5. Many YouTubers quit because they say it's too stressful. It's too stressful. This YouTube thing stresses me out. Why does this stress people out? 3 reasons. 3 reasons why YouTube stresses people out. 1, what I'm going to call self-imposed stress. How do people self-impose stress on them? They give themselves unrealistic deadlines. They plan out too much work in too short of a time, or they want to try to do everything for everyone all at once. So I'm going to hit the too much work in too short of a time. Daily vlogging. I tried to do this once on a trip because, you know, some YouTubers do this. They go on their travels and they edit and make videos every day. And I tried this when we went to Korea with a whole bunch of YouTubers to Korea. I'm like, I'm going to bring my MacBook Pro. I'm going to edit these videos on the daily. And oh boy, particularly on travel, that's awful. Because then you're like, I'm out in the day, I'm back in the hotel, I'm in this thing, I'm in my hotel room, now I'm not sleeping because I'm doing this. I got about 2 days of edits done, and I was like, I'm done. I'm done with them. I'm giving up on the editing for the rest of the trip. I'll just edit this stuff when I get back. So I generally like, for my big shoots, I generally like time box them to be like, okay, today I'm gonna shoot, is Los Angeles safe? Or is San Francisco safe to visit or something? And I'm like, and I have the next 6 hours to shoot it. And in the next 6 hours, that's it. If whatever I get in 6 hours is the video, and whatever I don't get in 6 hours isn't the video. And that helps me like have an end to it. And I know some people, they'll be like, okay, well, I didn't get it. I'm gonna go back again the next day, and I'm gonna go back again the next day, and like those reshoots or extra things only like so marginally make the video better. And then those extra days have taken away from like other videos that potentially they could have made. Now, I sometimes plan out more videos than I can shoot, like when I go to Vegas, for example, or Singapore, I'll outline out all these videos that I might make. And sometimes I don't get to all of them, which is okay. And that's where I'm like, I'm willing to go and say I planned out too much now that I'm here and I've figured out what to do and all this stuff. And so these 3 I just won't do so that I can eat well, hang out with my family, sleep, and get some exercise. Now, the second area that gets stressful is the brand deals that I talked about. And a lot of people, the reason why they got into YouTube in the first place is they said that because they don't like a boss. They don't like the 9 to 5. They don't want a boss. They want to work for themselves. And then they find out that like the real money in YouTube is not in AdSense, but it's in brand deals. And now every company they do a brand deal with is a new boss. So now instead of having one boss, they now have 10 bosses or 15 bosses or however many brand deals that they did. And because they don't know those bosses very well. They don't know how to work with them all that well. And those bosses might not be all that reasonable because maybe they never met them. Those bosses might be quite unreasonable. And I'll say something that I've heard a lot of YouTubers finding, and I'm finding too, is that like brand deals, in the beginning of brand deals, brands were like really like, hey, could you just feature my shoes in the video? That'd be cool. Do whatever you want. Make a video. Thanks. And now they're much more like, the video will be this long, it'll have this, you'll feature this, you'll include these things in the title. By the way, those are all the videos where I'm like, thanks, find somebody else to do that for $40 for you. And then they're like really trying to figure out like, well, can I just pay $3 for you to do that? Would that be cool? But then people who, so now this goes into like people who really need the money, you know? So like, people get into brand deals with companies they shouldn't, or pushy bosses for the brand deals because they really need the money. And I often find there are many of these people who like, they quit their full-time job too early, or they never got a full-time job to begin with. And so they have no other source of revenue. And so then every dollar is really important to them. Like every dollar is the difference between will I pay my rent or not? And so I think one way to not get there is certainly to have other sources of income. You know, certainly if we were all independently wealthy, that'd be perfect, but most of us aren't. So in my case, I'm still working a full-time software engineering job. And then that helps me on each one of these things not be like, it's not my rent check or not. I mean, it makes a difference, but it's not my rent check. It'll go help pay my expenses. It'll help pay for the cameras and lights and the storage space and the internet and all these things. And the music that I put, like, those cost money. There's a lot of things that cost money. And so I appreciate all of your support. ePhoenix, thank you very much. I appreciate your support. Thanks for the love on the videos and the live streamings. And the third way people end up with a lot of stress is they say yes to every opportunity that comes to them or their inbox, or just everyone who wants to talk. And this is a huge trap. It's a huge trap because, boy, as a creator, the amount of like emails that come in your inbox, crazy. Like by the time you hit a certain like subscriber threshold, you know, there was like one set when I crossed 10,000, another set when I crossed 100,000. I feel like at 300,000, every day there are 5, 10, 15 emails from like company this, that. Half of them are scams, half of them are bots, but then half of them are legitimate, but they're just not. I love the ones where they're like, people go like, Chris, I have a business I'd like to talk to you about. When do you have time? Like, I mean, that's it. Like, no description about like what it is, or, and in that case, I never have time. I mean, I have time for things that are relevant. I think time for you, but this is where if I take all these calls in the day, then I don't have time for the live stream anymore. So when people do this, when they talk to everybody, when they take up every opportunity, then they don't have time to make videos. And then their channel dies because they don't have any new videos, and so nobody's watching them, and then they don't have any more opportunities. And so I think this is absolutely one about like keeping the main thing the main thing. Also looking at the things about what you like to do and doing that. Okay. Greetings from Mexico. Hi, Chris. Quick question. How do you manage having a job and doing YouTube videos? Thanks. Ruthless time management is what I would say. So really trying to figure out how everything I do, I can do with the smallest amount of time, with the least amount of effort. You know, within the last 2 years, I now have an editor who helps me on my videos. And it's been assimilating him into the channel. At first, it was just a few. And now it's all the complicated videos Yusaku edits and I don't. And the videos that I edit are the very simple ones. And the reason why is not because I'm lazy, not because I don't like editing, but because if he helps me edit them, then I can make more videos, right? It's like, it's kind of a simple process about, well, or if I'm spending here Saturday and Sunday editing the video, like I can't go out and shoot more videos. And so that's actually why, if you look at how many videos I put out last year, it was more than ever, because I've had some help. But this gets us to number 6, which is a lot of people say they want to quit YouTube because they don't want to be a manager. And as creators want to do more and they want to make better content, they often hire a team. Like, there's only so much one person can do, and with more people, you can do more things. Hence, companies, hence corporations. And many of the stories relate to people saying they had something like 10 to 20 team members, and they're like, they got to quit it all because they hate being a manager, or they don't do any videos anymore, they just manage the team. Or videos that are like, they're not quitting completely, but they're like, I can't deal with people anymore, and so I'm scaling back to just me, just 0, independent creator. And, you know, by the time you get to 10 to 20 employees, I mean, that's what it means to run a company, because now you've got like human resources issues and benefits and salary increases and performance evaluations and usually what happens, and usually I find people who end up in this trap about like, they're like, I can't deal with these people, I can't tell them what to do, are typically people that fell into the trap of, well, they hired people that were cheap. They're like, how do they find people to work? You know, they're like, well, if I can hire people for cheap, that's better than people I need to pay more. And so I'm going to hire cheap people that are less competent than me, but I'm expert. I know all this stuff. And so I can get these low-skilled people, and I'll just tell them everything to do. And I'll teach them everything to do, and it'll be great. But then all of a sudden, now they got 20 people that don't know very much or aren't very competent. And I don't mean that to say that they're bad people, right? This is not about people being bad. This is about people having experience, being skilled, being master craftspeople in their craft. And so my recommendation to people is always to not hire people that are less competent than you, but to hire people that are more competent than you. Even if it means you need to pay them more than you get paid. Because you want people that you don't have to really tell what to do, right? Like, if you've ever remodeled your house, the best house fix-it people you get are not the people that you need to stand next to them and tell them everything what to do. The best people that you work with are the companies where, like, you can agree on a concept for what the house is, and then they do it, and then they're done, and it's what you asked for. It's the same thing with working for team members. The best way to communicate what you want done is not to say, do this and use this tool and do it like this, but instead to say, here's the goal of what I want created. go forth and do. And I'll say, Yusaku and I, and obviously I don't know, what's the old productions team? You know, it's me in front of the camera, it's OC Girl behind the camera, it's our daughter, the princess, who's, you know, helping add some comic relief on the side. It's Yusaku who's editing the videos, and I don't give him a bunch of stuff about what to do, you know? I write an outline of the video, I give him the source files afterwards, and I say, Yusaku, you're an expert at this, make a good edit on it. And he does, and he adds some humor, and he adds these things, and it's his take on it. And then, you know, I'll watch it, and I might go like, hey, this little thing, I messed up when I said this, can you cut this little thing out? So there's a little bit of back and forth, but I often hear a lot of YouTubers say like, oh, well, I asked them to deliver me the whole edit, and I change all of these things, and then we spend all this time, or I'll watch them on Zoom doing the edit like this, and I'm like, ooh, now you can't spend I see why you can't spend your time making videos anymore, because you're spending all this time babysitting these people that you should have just hired more competent people. Canyon Overlook says 20 employees, how much money do they make? You know, well, if you look at like the Mr. Beasts of the world, Mr. Beast has like hundreds of employees, you know, and so like some of these top YouTubers, they make like a lot of money. One Take Situation says, I assume every brand deal email I get are spams, so I never reply. How do I know they're legit? I don't know. I think this is just one of those experience things where like you look at them and be like, does this person in their signature actually put an address? Do they put a phone number? Can you talk to them? Or do they want you to like talk to them on WhatsApp or Telegram or, you know, those sorts of things? Like every email you get from Netflix is probably spam. So take that for a grain of salt. G-Town Monarch says, people not like being bosses. Exactly what happened one time in my last job. One of my bosses left for a non-supervisory job because she didn't want to be a boss anymore. Yeah, for sure. And Brandon Torres says, Mr. Beast is very organized in his inner circles. And I think, right, you have to be. Mr. Beast, recently, he was at Vid Summit, and in an interview, he was asked, how many days in a month he's typically shooting videos, to which he said 26, 27 days of the month he's shooting videos, and he says he has built up a team to handle all of the things that he would have to deal with that aren't shooting videos so that he can focus on shooting videos. And related to all this, like, you know, Jerry says, it sounds like a ton of work and micromanagement. You can create a team that way, or you can create a team that is self-motivated, competent in their areas, you can trust them, and putting them on autopilot doesn't mean that you're not involved in what's going on and setting the priorities, but really like self-directed people are super, super awesome to work with. People that need to be told everything about what to do every step on the way, super not. Okay. Number 7, the 7th reason why YouTubers quit is they often say, nobody's watching. And this was the question from earlier about, Chris, how do you get to your first 1,000 subscribers? And I'm going to bin this in 2 areas. One, people will say, well, nobody's watching, and that they were super successful. They had a big channel. They made videos for some amount of time, but they just didn't get traction. Like, I made all these videos and nobody watched. And then the second category is, I made videos, I got a ton of views, but now the audience is gone. And you'll see this on channels where like they had tons of views and now they don't anymore. And it's like, what changed about their channel? What changed about the personality? You know, something that I think was really interesting in this space is Vanessa Lau. She had a channel about like how to do well on social media and Instagram and this and that. And she talked about at one point, she felt like she needed to level up. She bought more cameras. She hired a videographer. She hired an editor instead of doing it herself. And she found that those videos that she made with multiple cameras, this higher production value, did worse than the videos that she just made by herself. Why is that? You know, did the solo videos seem more authentic? Did she act different in front of somebody who was a videographer? Was the editor not editing in her style? Those are all absolutely things where like you make changes, something happens in the channel, and the views just go down. But I think on the one about how do you get your first 1,000 subscribers, it takes time. It takes time to learn what kind of videos people want to watch. And I think if you do that, if you create videos that people want to watch, over time, you will get subscribers. You just will. But when people are like, oh, in the beginning, I'm making these great videos and nobody watches them, but my videos are great, they're usually not. I mean, if you look back at my videos in 2008, they're not that great. they're not. The videos I make today are much better than the videos I made 15 years ago. And I'm proud of the videos I make today. I'm proud of the videos I made in 2008 because I didn't have very much experience. And so they were, sometimes people watch them and go like, Chris, you showed great promise or this and that. And I'm like, all right, there was some there, but none of those videos 15 years ago got hundreds of thousands of views or millions of views. There was like just some time on the channel to figure out what that looks like, the pace, the thumbnail, the introduction. So I'd encourage you, if you're on this path, just keep going. Don't give up. Don't quit. And the path of a YouTuber is very much like nobody watches, nobody watches, nobody watches, nobody watches. Here everybody is, right? So that's the path that most YouTubers talk about their, path to a play button like this. All right. The 8th reason that people say they quit YouTube is for the money. Money. 2 areas of money. 1, they made enough money so they can retire. The Matt Pets of the world. I mean, I haven't looked at his bank account, but something tells me at 18 million views this night, he's probably good on the money. I feel like the Casey Neistats of the world, they're in the same thing. They're like, they don't really need the money anymore. They don't need to go back to the well. But the second one is people say, well, I'm not making enough money. Either I started and I quit my job, or I don't have a job or whatever, and I thought this was going to make a lot of money, and I still haven't made my first 1,000 subscribers, and I quit because I need to go get a job because I need to pay the bills. Or the inverse, which is like, it was making a good amount of money for a while, but now it doesn't, right? Because, AdSense and all these things and views are fickle. Or the brand deals aren't there. They've dried up, it hits its seasons. And so this does go to my other point about it's useful to have other income sources. If you have other income sources, it makes the money part a lot less stressful. I certainly can't fault the people who say, well, I quit because I got enough money. But then I'm like, I don't know. I kind of like making these videos. I like when I go to Vegas, the people come up to me, not just Vegas, but a lot of places. People come up to me and go like, Chris, I love your videos. And I think that's amazing. And so, I think even if I got to that category of these people, I'd probably still be making these videos because I enjoy it. Okay, number 9. The 9th reason why people quit YouTube is they don't like the negative aspect of fame. What is the negative aspect of fame? The negative aspect of fame is that people say, it'll be great when I'm a YouTuber. I'll be famous. People will love me. There's always haters. Doesn't matter how great you are. Doesn't matter how nice you are. There's always haters. Chris, do you have haters? I have haters, believe it or not. You know who my haters are? The shady nightclub promoters in Las Vegas and the timeshare salespeople. They don't like me very much because I spend a lot of time talking about like, maybe you don't want to get involved in those things. I don't mean all nightclub promoters. I mean the shady ones. There are the shady ones out there. The scammers probably don't like me either. I'm okay with that. Trolls, hateful comments. Kathy says, always trolls. Amber says, haters gonna hate. The Vegas live streams bring out the trolls. They really do. Points Traveler says, glad to see you haven't quit YouTube yet. And this is an interesting thing, right? And I'll say like, there can be 100 positive comments on a channel, on a video, like Points Traveler right here. And then there can be one hateful, spiteful comment. And that's the one that just eats away at you. Like, oh, how can that person, like, oh, you just don't understand. There was somebody who commented on my video about, is Los Angeles safe? Where I basically recommend people who come to LA be very cautious about taking public transportation today. And this person said, because there's lots of issues on public transit in Los Angeles today. And this person says, Chris, how dare you? How dare you crap on the LA public transit system? I paraphrase what they said. They didn't say crap on it. But how dare you disparage the fantastic public transportation system in Los Angeles? Clearly you've never been to Singapore. Clearly you've never been to South Korea. Clearly you've never been to a great public transportation system. But in this person's view, I am hating on their loved Los Angeles public transportation system. And even though I read this and I know in my hearts of hearts that this person just comes from a definitely a different worldview or a different set of rose-colored glasses that I do, which is why they don't see it the same way. The comment still bugs me. Not because they're trying to be mean, but because for whatever reason, I didn't convince them that my perspective was valid. But I don't feed the trolls, so I don't respond to those sorts of comments. Now, there's also the, many people come up to me and say, Chris, I love your videos. But, many YouTubers have had more than that, which I'll, describe as in-person stalking, essentially. Like, people that are creepy coming up to them. And I think some of that comes from people who share, way too much online. And because they share way too much online and because they seem like somebody who it's cool to come up and put your arm on them or be like this or be like whatever. And it'd be like, I'm not really, I know you know me, but I don't know you. And, this is I said, well, I've probably gotten used to the in-person, people recognizing us now. OC Girl has not gotten used to people recognizing us in person. She's still kind of it's weird. People on the street, many are nice. Again, they're nice. So if you see me, definitely come up and say, hey, Chris, hey, Yellow Productions, I love your videos. Start with that. That's the way to start. You know what the creepy way to start is? When you just walk up and go, hey, can I get a selfie? I'm like, who are you? What is your name? I'm happy to take a selfie with you, but can we start from a different place? That'd be cool. Where are you from? What do you like about this place? What video did you like? Great, let's take a picture. Sounds good. But this is also why I'm generally kind of secretive about where I'm going. So if you're like, Chris, where are you going? Is why I generally don't be like, well, from March 3rd to 7th, I'm going here. And then from the 10th to here, I'm going here. All of you on this live stream are super cool. I love you all. And I love Kathy. Kathy says you didn't mind meeting me. I'll meet up with, I love awesome fans. I love to meet dinner, one-on-one, all that sort of stuff, right? Kathy, it's not creepy. She's a koala cat after all, right? Kathy's super awesome. Normal people are super awesome. It is the ones that aren't, that are kind of weird, right? Yeah. So, 10. A lot of people quit YouTube because they're shifting to other platforms. YouTube is generally regarded as the most difficult platform to do well on. Much of the content on YouTube, I think, is as good as or even better than what you see on television today, which makes it like people often view as a high barrier to entry. The competition is high when I first get started, where raw numbers of success can be more quickly seen on other platforms like TikTok or Instagram. But they don't have the same engagement or relationship building power. There's a funny story going on about at VidCon last year. VidCon is like the big conference for online video, held in Anaheim, in a number of different places, but the flagship one is Anaheim, home to Disneyland, where I met Kathy. And these TikTokers, because VidCon had was sponsored by TikTok heavily last year, so they had a whole TikToker fan meet and greet. And these TikTokers with millions of followers on TikTok had 0 people that came up to them at VidCon. Not because they're bad people, but because, you watch a 10-second dance video on TikTok, you don't really get to know that person. You don't really feel that connected to them. That's the nature of short form video as opposed to the nature of this, which has much more relationship building power, particularly when we can actually chat about things. And Janelle also says, I only post where I've been after I leave for that reason. Absolutely. Which is often why I post a video and people are like, Chris, welcome to Singapore. And I'm like, great, I'm not there anymore. But thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. In rare circumstances like my New Year's Eve video, then I have to post that there because it has to be that day. Amy says, would love to meet you and your family. You do have a lot of non-freaky, scary fans. And I know, Amy, right? Particularly those of you who come here week in, week out, chat. I love it. And Justin says, have you considered making videos for Nebula? I don't know. No, I haven't gotten the invite. Nobody reached out to me. It's another platform, too many platforms. So there we go. I've really made YouTube my main focus at this point. But if you know something I don't, let me know. 11. The 11th reason why people quit YouTube is they're shifting from front of the camera to behind the camera. This was actually Matt Pat's big thing. He's like, goodbye from the front of the camera. He's like, after a whole bunch of years of being in front of the camera, I'm tired. I want to be behind the camera now. I'm going to hire other people to run these channels, or I think he actually sold his channel to another company to run it, and they're going to hire people to be in front. But he's like, I'm still going to be in the back. I'm going to be ideating. I'm going to be creating these things. And you see this a lot in a lot of industries. A lot of movie stars then become producers or executive directors, musicians, same thing. They go from being in front to being in back, and maybe that's a natural evolution. The 12th thing that YouTubers cite as to why they quit is they say that YouTube can be isolating. And while Chris may seem like a very social guy, and he makes this video and he's in Vegas and it's a ton of fun, when I am walking down the strip making my video about walking Vegas, it's myself talking to a camera. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other people around, but I'm not really interacting with most of them. It's not like I'm at the Vegas party. I was at the Vegas party and I watched the fireworks and all those sorts of things. But these things tend to be a person to a camera in a room editing by themselves, and there is a very by yourself element to it, editing or voiceover microphone. So suggestion of this, and something you see me do, is also collaborate with other YouTubers. And even though those videos might not get an amazing amount of views, every one I've done, whether it's with whether it's from Rob from Trip Hacks DC, or whether it's from Mark from Walter's World, or whether it's with Chris from Hello from Hawaii, I could go on and on with this list. But every time I've done that, like I consider making a new friend. Like, even though I don't see them all that often, maybe we've only spent one day together, like we chat, we comment on each other, and I feel like if I needed to lean on a friend or ask something, like I would have one after that day. And so that is, like when we do the collabs though, like the Seal Beach collab that I did recently with Pat Pattison, I probably could have went to Seal Beach and done a video in 2 hours, but because we were doing a collab video, my channel, his crew, 2 cameras, 2 mics, this and that. We started at 10, we went till 4. So we spent like 6 hours. So it was like longer, and probably more work. But again, like I met Pat, and he's a cool guy, and maybe we'll do something again in the future that I wouldn't if I was just like, I'll just do my thing. And the 13th area, which is the last area, and then we'll open up to final Q&A. The 13th reason why a lot of people leave YouTube is life changes. Their life changes, frankly. Whatever state they were in their life when they started YouTube, they were in high school, they were in college, they didn't have a job, they didn't have a spouse, they didn't have kids, and now they have all these things, and they're like, I don't have time for YouTube anymore. I feel like kids is definitely one of like the death nails for YouTube channels. Not in our case, because we've made certain to be like the arrival of a child in our life doesn't mean the end of this. Doesn't have to. Doesn't mean the end of your life in general, but many people, when they have kids, their life goes away and changes into something else. Divorce. A lot of YouTubers, when they go through a divorce, they're like, I can't do this anymore. I lose my house, I lose my partner, I lose this, and they just, they're no longer themselves. They can't be happy. They can't be smiley. They can't turn on the camera. They don't have the inspiration. And certainly health challenges. When people go through health issues, they can't be here because, they're having surgery or they're sick. And while there are certainly many of those things that you can't prevent, having a healthy lifestyle, getting plenty of sleep, eating well, getting exercise, spending time with family and friends also is a way to really improve health. And so, just to sum it up, and then we'll go to final Q&A, is talking about a job. This goes back to the beginning thing about like when people say, hey, why am I quitting? And they quit because they say, well, it's a great job, but it's a job. And that's where I'm like, I think if I didn't have my full-time software engineering job and I was just doing YouTube full-time, I don't you know, people like, Chris, what's your job, or this and that. Like, I think I would still refer to it as my full-time hobby. Like, I have a full-time hobby, which also makes a few dollars. But I think treating things in a way to be like, I like doing this, and I'm not going to be too serious about it. And I don't mean that to say that, like, you can't be all in and you can't spend effort on it, but, like, thinking about how you set up the workflow and the environments and all those things in ways that are true to you, and saying no to the things that you know are going to stress you out, that you don't want to do. And if that means you say no to a whole bunch of stuff that you think can't be a YouTuber anymore, well, gosh darn it, don't be a YouTuber. Go teach parachuting or parasailing or be a surf instructor or something that is you want to do. And there's nothing wrong in that either. But for me, as I said, I'm not quitting. I'm not going anywhere. I enjoy making these videos. I enjoy hanging out with all of y'all. I love that y'all show up here every week, show up for these videos, say hey when you're in person, say how much we helped your trip. We brought a ray of sunshine into your day. And I think that ray of sunshine, I guess I'll end on this, which is when I was in college. One of the classes I would always sit in front in all my classes, front row. I'd always sit in the front row. Mostly because I feel like I was paying for these classes, and so I want to get as much out of them as possible, and I get the most out of them as possible if I sit in the front row. And I had this one professor who, like, halfway through the semester, he's like, Chris, I have a question after class. Chris, I have a question for you. I'm like, yeah. Why are you always smiling? You know, I look down at you and you're always smiling. Why is that? I don't know. You know, why shouldn't I be smiling? You know, and I guess everybody else has like a scowl in this class, but I feel like often our perspective or how we carry ourselves, like there's, you know, definitely this, other people don't make me mad. These things don't make me mad. I make me mad. Like my response to this makes me mad, and I can choose how I respond to this. I can choose to look at the silver lining, or I can choose to look at the negative lining. And I think to really be successful on YouTube, you have to look at the silver lining, you know, and if only 5 people showed up to this live stream, and wow, it's amazing because we've had nearly 400 or something like that on the live stream today, and it's amazing. But if only 5 were here, I'd look on the silver lining to be, well, you know what? At least my live streaming software didn't crash, so that was good, and I made it through the live stream, and that was good too, and I enjoyed my tea.
Fellow explorers, it is now Q&A time. If you've got a question, I've got an answer.
Janelle says, Chris is a ray of sunshine. Thank you very much, Janelle. One Take Situation says, not surprised about you sitting in front. And College Full of Love says, you're the best, Chris. I look forward to these live streams every week. Thank you so much. My dad, Electric Rick, says, the only travel channel I watch is yours, and I love it almost as much as I love you, and that's because you love what you do, and I love watching the results. It's a match made in heaven. Thank you very much, Dad. I think I was raised in a very, like, loving, rosy looking family. Mom's watching too, so Mom, thank you very much. I know, this live stream, I'd always have 2 people. I'd have my mom and my dad, so thank you to, I mean, you think about how do you get your first 1,000 subscribers? There you go. Here's your first 2. All right. Amy says, Chris, smiling positively. Amber says, woohoo. Aunt A says, Yellow Productions was the first YouTube channel I subscribed to, and now I know why you're awesome. Oh, thank you, Aunt A. Bricks and Joystick says, do you have any F1 advice you've gathered this year? I didn't go for F1. I'm not a sports fan, so sorry, I have no advice for you in that. Danielle says, have you been to Mammoth Lakes? I've not been to Mammoth Lakes. It's a snow area here in California. I've been to Big Bear. I've been to Mountain High. I've heard Mammoth is better for snow, but I have not been there. The drive's just really, really long. TP says, you're a very bright person. It must be all these lights and the yellow that I wear brings out the brightness. Jerry says, thanks for not selling out to these brand deal dictators. I appreciate it. The Wu-Tang Life says, Chris, do you write a script for your videos, or is it mostly ad-lib? Let's see. To give you a perspective about this video today, over here that I look at on the screen, I can't really move the camera this way, but over here. Actually, how could I do this? Let's see. Here's the button. We do screen share, and wow, that was awesome. Okay, so we'll bring this one over here. So we'll move the comment so that you can see it. This is my outline for this video. Why is everyone quitting, and why is not? Can you read that? Is that too small? Do I need to make this bigger? Bigger, bigger, bigger. 100%. 200%. All right, here we go. And so in this outline, what have I got? I got these different things. I got these different words. I'm not reading this, but this is my outline. These are the major points that I want to talk through. And this works out to be about 5 pages. So when I do one of these live streams, that's about the level that I tend to outline them at. That way, when you come to a live stream, you know that Chris isn't going to be sitting here having nothing to talk about, but Chris is going to have some interesting prepared remarks, whether it's about the state of YouTube or whether it's about hotel rewards programs or whether it's about what life is like in Japan or what travel in Japan is like today. Meritocratic Mafia says, very cool behind the scenes look. The first thing you saw was my live streaming software that like cascaded in a whole bunch of things because it was the screen share and the screen share and the screen share and the screen. Amber wants to know, when can we expect your protein shake diet tea powder advertisement to come out? I'm gonna work on that one. Kathy says Chris is the best. I love Topher as well. And then Sarah said about Mammoth, it's great. So I also love when explorers help out fellow explorers. So thank you very much. Daniel says, have you done your review of the Venetian? Not yet. Electric Rick asks, Points Traveler asks Electric Rick, will you adopt the Points Traveler? All right. Daniel says, do you speak English? Yo hablo español enough to order dos tacos? Not very well. I don't speak Spanish very well, but growing up in San Diego, you pick up enough Spanish to like at least understand what other people are saying, or when they're call numbers in Spanish because you're at a legit Mexican restaurant. 我会说一点中文, which is I speak a little bit of Mandarin Chinese, again, enough to understand what's going on in a restaurant and those sorts of things, but not to really be conversational about it. Codge Full of Love says, the care you put into videos always shows. I appreciate it, Codge Full of Love. Kirk says, you got some pretty good hotel prices, especially at the Wynn. Any tips on getting those rates? Kirk, I got those rates using this new site called Plan-In, which is a kind of like a hotel review site that's focusing on creator reviews. They haven't launched yet. I've got like their beta access to their developer thing. It's going to launch in like February 2nd, 10th, 18th. I don't know, sometime in February when it does launch is also when I'm going to put out the Venetian and the Wynn reviews to be like, hey, if you want these rates, you can book them on here. I'm also going to put a bunch of my content up on Plan-In, so stay tuned for that video. Planin.com. Right now it's like, sign up for when we go live, but when they go live, I'll let you know. That's how I got the Venetian and the Wynn prices. The Fontainebleau price, I got that because I booked it the day they opened for reservations. Many people are like, Chris, how'd you get the Fontainebleau for $200? Everywhere it's $400. Well, whenever, this is like, you know, pro hotel tip, look for new hotels. Look to book hotels before they open. If you book a hotel before they open, prices are really cheap because they're just trying to, they got a whole hotel to fill up, which is different than like when hotels have been open and a year has gone on and a whole year of people have decided to book. Now there's never a whole hotel that's empty, but when a hotel just opens, the whole hotel that's empty. Top left guy says, you are always smooth with descriptions. How many takes does the average scene require? You know, many people joke there's like one take Chris. And not to say that everything is one take. Sometimes my takes can take 2 or 3 times, but by the time I've kind of like typed some things into an outline, then when it comes out, one take. Like this live stream is one take, so there you go. A.M. Moore says, thanks for being on this video. It's nice to see something different. You are welcome. And I guess this goes into the like experimenting, right? About like, I think when people lose their excitement is when they're like, they're unwilling to do something different. They're unwilling to experiment. Was anyone going to watch this video? I had no idea, but you did. So thank you very much. And thanks for turning up and all of the comments. The Vagrants Valet says, do you ever talk to the YouTube people for tech support questions, etc.? As a creator that reaches a certain number of subscribers, I have access to the like YouTube support chat, and they've actually been really helpful. Sometimes I've had issues with live streams or live streams not processing or audio being out of sync, and I've been able to like ask them things to be like, hey, can you help me with this, or can you help me with this? And they generally are quite responsive. I think that's another one like why I like YouTube. And so this is one where, yeah, sometimes there's this question about like, Chris, what about the other platforms? Like, why don't you do more on TikTok, or why don't you do more on these things? And again, I don't want to hate on these other platforms, but like none of the other platforms have the same support system that YouTube does. Like YouTube is successful because it's so creator friendly, right? They're like, if we don't make it easy to upload, have a good process, an easy back end, people just won't upload videos. And it's true. Like, and interesting, I think at this point I get more views and I have more followers on Facebook than I do on YouTube. I still consider myself a YouTuber rather than a Facebooker or a video creator. But I think that also goes to, even though I have more views and more followers on Facebook, there are the proportion of people who come up to me and say, Chris, I love your videos on Facebook versus I love your videos on YouTube is like 99% to 1. Like 1% of people be like, oh, I see your stuff on Facebook. If you do follow me on Facebook and you made it over here, I love you too. I respond to those comments as well. But I think that there's, it's different. It's a different feel, right? Just like TikTok and YouTube are a different feel. Justin says, have you had anyone claim a copyright strike? Legitimately so. In the pandemic, I did a video on Planet Hollywood, and I used a image for my thumbnail that Maverick Helicopters took, like the helicopter people that do helicopter tours of the Strip. For the thumbnail, I mean, I put Planet Hollywood on it, but they were like, that's our picture. Sure enough, it's their picture. And so I don't do that anymore. So I go out and like take a picture, or I go and find like a picture on Wikipedia that's like open source or things like that. But I do spend a lot more time thinking about, as I make this video, I make a thumbnail. I did that because it was COVID. And I couldn't get out to the Planet Hollywood to take a thumbnail to Planet Hollywood. There we go. Al Cho says, have you ever done a video on the apps you use most when traveling? Yeah, a long time ago, probably worthwhile an update. But if maybe you search for Yellow Productions apps, maybe you'll find it. Daniel says, where's the best city to celebrate New Year's Eve? In the USA, the most popular cities to celebrate New Year's Eve: New York City, Orlando, San Diego, Las Vegas. Those are some of the top cities. It really depends what you want. Wu-Tang Life says, have you ever seen a channel just crash after being so popular? Cancel culture, your thoughts? Those are two different things, but I feel like when they crash after being popular is because there's like some sort of drama on the channel, and I guess this goes into cancel culture, but not necessarily cancel culture. There can be things where like Ray William Johnson is a great example. He was like the most subscribed YouTuber on the platform for some point in time, and his show just ended. But there were like a lot of things about like Ray William Johnson was part of a multi-channel network, and he couldn't get into some contracts, and they put different hosts on the show, and there were a whole bunch of that. People didn't like the other hosts, and the channel just did that, and he's back again, and then he went on Facebook for a while, and I don't think that's about Ray being canceled, but that's about just evolving things and different people. And then I think drama, particularly like if you have a channel that has like multiple people on it, and whatever, one person does something they shouldn't have, another person's not part of the channel, then people are like, I don't know if I like the channel anymore. Or you have a couple and the couple breaks up. Do you like the channel anymore? There was, Eat Your Kimchi, right? There was a channel, this couple, they did a bunch of K-pop videos, and then they lived in Japan, and then they got divorced, and they kept uploading to their channel, and it was like all super weird, and then they made their own channels, and I don't think some of their following certainly has followed them, but not all of their following has followed them. And then the whole cancel culture thing, I mean, I don't want to talk about this from a political perspective, but I want to talk about this from just my personal belief in opinions, right? Where I feel like some people have gotten to this place that say, there are no opinions that are valid except mine. My opinions are the only opinions that anybody can have, and if you don't have my opinion, you shouldn't be able to talk about your things. And, the flat earth people, they don't bother me. Like, if they want to talk about the flat earth amongst themselves, they could talk about the flat earth all day. And then, that's where we're like, I don't believe in the flat earth, but that's okay. Flat earthers, go hang out and have a flat earth convention. Talk about the flat earth amongst yourselves.
Yes, it's the time you've been waiting for. It's time for the giveaway.
All right, fellow explorers, it's giveaway time. Every live stream, I give away a Yellow Productions crew shirt to somebody who can answer one of my questions. My question for you today is, when I did my New Year's Eve walk, how many miles did I walk that day? That day on New Year's Eve, how many miles did I walk? I said it earlier in this live stream, and if you answer that question, you will win a new Yellow Productions shirt shipped to you anywhere in the world. And if you don't win one and you want to buy one, you can support the channel by heading over to the Yellow Productions shop and picking one up over there. If you wonder, Chris, when is the next live stream? It probably won't be next week. It'll probably be the week after. Why? Life. So head over to the Yellow Productions update, my email list, and I will email you as soon as I know when the next live stream in 2 weeks is going to be. And let's see who the winner is.
And now we have a winner chicken dinner.
Okay. There are a lot of right answers, so let's find the first right answer. The first right answer on my screen is Richard Duong. Congratulations. 20 miles is how much I walked on New Year's Eve in Las Vegas. Richard, send me an email, chris@yellow-productions.com. You'll find in the description. Let me know your address and your size. I'll get that shirt headed right out to you. Second place goes to Brian. Third place goes to Janelle, but the shirt goes to Richard. Well, fellow explorers, thank you so much for tuning in today. If you haven't liked this video yet, please drop me a like. It really helps support the channel. And I also want to thank all of my channel members right here that help to support the channel. Thank you so much. And as usual, I won't say goodbye because I'm going to see you in the next video.